Welcome to the BIM Hunter Hive podcast, where you listen to interesting fictional stories from aspiring authors for your listening pleasure and relaxation.
The Rookie Auditor, written by Adebimpe Odefunsho and read by the author. Introduction. In The Rookie Auditor, we delve into the story of Dolu, a newbie in the world of corporate auditing. During his career journey, he encountered the struggles of learning on the job and also meeting up with the demands of his new role. Dolu's story brings us closer to the struggles of fresh graduates who have just moved into the corporate world and are trying to find their feet. The story is not only motivating, but entertaining as well. Chapter 1. The Recruitment. Are you aware of what happened in SS Investment Limited? Mrs. Ifeoma asked a colleague. Yes, I heard what happened. I learned their CEO was dismissed because of a theft allegation. A colleague whispered into her ear. That's serious. Please, let's continue this conversation later. The meeting's about to commence. Miss Ifeoma whispered back when she saw Mr. Akpan walk past her along the hallway down to the office reception. The long-awaited meeting is finally here, and Mr. Akpan could hardly wait to get things rolling. Ms. Ifeoma dashed to the filing room to get the copies of the resumes she had kept in the filing cabinet. Mr. Akpan has been concerned about the general state of Glide Investments Global Limited for a while now, and has been seeking viable ways to transform the company. Would you blame him? The company's survival and progress rely heavily on his expertise and that of the team he managed. He has had countless sleepless nights, ceaseless whirlwind of strategy and counter-strategy. His leisure moments have become classrooms where he devoted himself to a relentless pursuit of knowledge. In his pursuit, he embarked on a journey of unlearning and relearning, a painful but necessary endeavor to shed off outdated knowledge and embrace the ever-evolving technology-driven world. Although his efforts of getting more advanced methods and tools to enhance the efficiency of the audit department has been paying off, there remained yet an identified gap. This was the subject of his discussion with the company's managing director just a week ago during their lunch break. Mr. Akpan proposed the idea of hiring an information technology auditor, a role that had not been filled since the audit team has been formed 10 years ago. Although this role only became popular on the job board in the last 3 years, its importance is becoming apparent, and it's been pretty difficult getting the right person for the role. I think there's a dire need for an information technology auditor to join my team, Mr. Akpan said to Mr. Dotson, the managing director, who sat in a revolving chair opposite him. Leaning back against the chair's backrest and listening to him, Mr. Dotson clutched his black pen in his hand and swirled it between his forefinger and thumb. Mr. Dotson was a very thoughtful and considerate man. His ability to balance empathy and professionalism was what set him apart from other business leaders in his field. I have considered this closely and realized we need a staff member with this specialized skill to help with the IT process and infrastructure audits, Mr. Akpan continued convincingly. I understand where you are coming from and I completely agree with you, Mr. Dotson replied, clearing his throat. I must also commend your dedication to put our affairs in order, particularly during this critical junction, Mr. Dotson remarked, his voice carrying the weight of the times they found themselves in. He continued, I have a proposal to make. Considering the prolonged vacancy of this role on our job board, I believe it's prudent to consider an information technology audit training for one of the graduate management trainees we'll be recruiting at the end of this month. It's just a week away. What are your thoughts? Mr. Akpan pondered this suggestion for a brief moment, then responded, Indeed, that's an excellent idea. The skill sets required for this position has proven elusive. I should keep an eye out for a candidate among the trainees, particularly one with a background in information technology. Your suggestion holds great merit. His countenance bore a wide grin echoing his enthusiasm. In unison, They agreed that this proposition represented a pragmatic stride forward. This conversation is about to determine Dolu's fate if he will be an employee of the Glide Investment Global Limited or not. It all began when Dolu read through a newspaper job advertisement for the elusive graduate management training program, a beacon that had guided him here. Freshly adorned from the laurels of academia, Dolu's computer science degree marked his passage into a world that long beckoned to him. The job at hand seemed tailor-made for the novices of diverse disciplines who had emerged from the halls of higher learning. The promise was clear. They were to embark on a journey of industry-specific indoctrination, an apprenticeship to culminate in their deployment to various departments. Their roles would be defined by their competence and inner fortitude. With a determined click, Dolu on that fateful day went through the Glide Investment Global Limited website, looking for more information on the graduate management training program he had earlier seen in the newspaper advert. After minutes of strenuous searching, he eventually found it and hastily applied. In a mere quickened of days, he received an email in his inbox, an invitation to complete the qualifying examination. Nights bled into days as Dolu's singular focus transmuted into ardent study, as if his very existence depended upon the outcome. The honors of time ultimately rendered their judgments, rewarding his labor with the status of a high scorer and an invitation for an interview. The long-awaited interview day has finally arrived. Dolu sat quietly in the office reception, scrolling through the pages on his mobile phone, hoping to read as much information as possible from it. Then he suddenly stopped as he couldn't believe what he was saying. He felt his confidence plummet when he realized the individual he thought was the first prime minister of the country was actually someone else. He never knew he wasn't the one, he muttered, feeling disappointed and uncertain. If he was wrong about something he was so sure of, what about all the other things he had less assurance about? After minutes of zigzag strolling and mindless reading, he raised his head with a sense of despair, wondering if his outing would be worth it at the end of the day. He glanced around the room to try grasping what was happening, still reeling from the revelation on his mobile phone. Across the room were a fair-skinned lady and a young man sitting close to each other. They were corporately dressed and seemed to be in for business. Actually, they looked like they were there for the same reason as Dolu. The young man looked around the room with a bout of restlessness and impatience. Then his glance fell on Dolu, making them have a brief eye contact. Dolu stylishly looked away, but could sense the young man's eyes were still fixed on him. He focused on the flower at the entrance of the office reception. Then his gaze fell on Mr. Akpan, who had just entered the reception room and was having a quick scan around. Mr. Akpan stood for about a minute before taking his leave to the meeting room, the room adjacent to the reception room. That must be one of the interviewers, Dolu thought to himself, after seeing Mr. Akpan's dignified and all-prepared countenance. He noticed a few more people with similar appearance came into the reception and entered the same room Mr. Akpan had entered, so Dolu was convinced the interview would commence any moment from then. After some time, the activity around the adjacent room got lessened and he decided to look towards the direction of the lady and the young man again. This time, the fair-skinned lady was in a deep conversation with the young man. The lady chatted with the young man excitedly, with words flowing rapidly from her mouth. Her gestures were animated as she explained the content of the white sheet she held in her right hand. The young man listened intently and nodded in approval. Dolu stared at them for some minutes, and his earlobe peaked when he heard the lady confidently saying, "I assure you, this definitely be one of the questions that will be asked by the panel." At that moment, Dolu definitely knew that these two were there for the interview as well. This spurred his interest in their conversation and he decided to listen closely to what the lady said. But the more he listened, the fainter the lady's voice became. He leaned a little bit to the side and then he was alerted by a loud feminine voice from above his head. "Please, you can go in now, ma'am." Dolu looked up to see where the sound came from. Then he saw Miss Ifoma, a dark, beautiful lady, smartly dressed in a lilac blouse and a purple skirt, standing at the entrance of the reception. She wore a wide smile with her employee ID card graciously hanging on her neck. She gestured to the fair-skinned lady, showing her the room adjacent to the reception. The fair-skinned lady stood up and walked along confidently, holding her black leather bag in her hand as she went inside the room. "You'll be going in next, sir," Miss Informer said, looking at Dolu. Caught off guard, he scrambled to attention, hastily adjusting his ill-fitting suit in an attempt to regain his composure. "Very well, Mom. Thank you," he stammered, his smile masking the turbulence within. With a graceful nod, she took her place behind the receptionist's desk, an unspoken sentinel overseeing the atmosphere. A single bead of perspiration fell from Dolu's brow, betraying the anxiety that gripped him. Unable to fathom the source of his unease, he sought refuge in his smartphone. He anxiously typed "Top 10 interview questions and answers" in his Google search, and the page popped open almost immediately. He scanned along hastily as though it wasn't a read song competition. Although Dolu had gone through most online articles on this topic at times without number, he thought it necessary to go through them again as a refresher for the interview. After some minutes, the receptionist sighted a fair-skinned lady coming out of the meeting room, so she said to Dolu, "You may go in now, sir." Dolu exchanged a smile with her as he stood up, fidgeting with his pen and smartphone. He tried to put on a confident composure, but soon lost it when the fair-skinned lady briskly passed him with her head haughtily raised and looking straightly ahead. She seemed to have aced the interview with no iota of doubt. She went straight to the receptionist and said with a breath of fresh air, "Wow, I had a nice conversation with the panel. I will see you soon." She waved goodbye to the receptionist and a young man who was patiently seated. Dolu quickly readjusted his focus and went straight into the meeting room. As he stepped into the room, bouts of calmness enveloped him, and he could feel his heartbeat stopped racing and returned to normal. The atmosphere wasn't as tense as he presumed, although it was a 5-man panel who looked all professional. There was something off about their composure. They looked tired and worn out, seemed to be done for the day. He didn't know if this was a good sign or not. Could it be that the fair-skinned lady had drained life out of them with her many chats? It won't be far from that, Dolu thought to himself. He was soon jolted out of his thoughtful state. "You may have your seat, young man," Mr. Akpan, head of the audit department, said to him, gesturing to the chair in front of him. Dolu pulled out the chair opposite Mr. Akpan carefully, avoiding screeching it against his floor. He thanked Mr. Akpan and he sat down quietly. Dolu had a quick scan of all the faces on the interview panel, acclimatized himself to his environment. Seated beside Mr. Akpan and dressed in a white dashiki was the company's head of investments, Mr. Ruben. He bore a big smile on his face and seemed like a jovial man. Apparently, it is the company's culture for staff members to put on their native attires on Fridays, just to accentuate the "Thank God It's Friday" mood, often referred to as TGIF. This adds some colors to the weekday to weekend transitions. Beside Mr. Akpan was Mr. Smith, the company's chief technology officer. He had a pair of round-shaped spectacles firmly fixed to his face, and he threw Dolu's resume as though he was reviewing an encyclopedia. Next to Mr. Smith was Mr. Ibrahim, the facilities manager. He sat with a bored expression. He seemed half awake and totally disconnected from the entire interview process. It was obvious he was there just to register his presence and longed for the end of the interview. Next to him was Mrs. Lawson, the HR manager. She had a forced smile with a quirky stare that pierced into the entire parts of those she fixed them on. Of course, that was her way of acting a friendly countenance, but she looked very awkward rather than friendly. Mr. Akpan looked at Dolu with skepticism and scrutiny. He seemed to be the only one ready for a serious conversation. After a brief silence, Mr. Ruben looked at the HR manager, signaling to her to start the conversation. A moment of uncertainty quickly went by before the HR manager eventually got his message. She quickly readjusted her seat, trying very hard to look professional. The entire scene seemed like a movie script not well played out. "You're welcome to Glide Investment Global Limited, the first and the best investment company in the country. We are known for our professionalism and exceptional performance, not only locally but globally." Mrs. Lawson started, trying hard to suppress the doubt in her voice. It's no longer in news and also undeniably visible that a wide wave is sweeping up all that mattered from the corridor of the investment sector. Corruption, a menace that eats deep and devours the system before leaving a clue of suspicion. 30% of the investment companies had shut down, and 25% of the remaining had announced their merger with other companies. A number of CEOs and heads of departments had lost their jobs due to this situation. Even staff members also have not been spared. Glide Investment Global Limited have been pushing hard to avoid being caught up by this negative situation. We are a people company. We value our employees and put our customers at the core of our business. Our customer comes first, and we are dedicated to satisfying their needs by providing them with quality and professional services. These are our core values: professionalism, resilience, integrity, collaboration, and empathy, Mrs. Lawson continued. The rest of the panel nodded in agreement, acting up a proud countenance. That's the price we pay when performing our duties at Glide Investment Global Limited. This refers to the acronym for our core values, she said proudly, looking at Dolu as though she had just revealed a profound discovery. So tell us about yourself, Mrs. Lawson said to Dolu after her briefing. Good afternoon, and thank you for this rare opportunity. It's a pleasure to meet you all. My name is... Dolu introduced himself and went on to detail his educational qualifications and background. I'm very excited about this opportunity given me to contribute my skills and be a part of Glide Investment Global Limited. And again, thank you for considering my application, he concluded confidently. The room was silent for some minutes. It appeared he had captured the full attention of the panel by his impressive introduction. Dolu had been rehearsing these lines for several days now, so it's no surprise he was able to give a flawless delivery, especially as this question is commonly asked in interviews. Did you mention earlier that you studied computer science? Mr. Akpan asked Dolu, taking over the conversation. Yes, I did. I studied computer science at the prestigious Islander University of Technology. That's interesting, Mr. Akpan responded with a satisfactory nod. Can you describe yourself in 5 words? Mr. Akpan continued as his interest got spurred in Dolu. Ambitious, honest, organized, people-oriented, and a good team player, Dolu responded intelligently, aligning his words with the company's core values. Mr. Akpan was impressed. He continued to engage Dolu with more questions, and of course, excellent answers were received in return. This continued for some minutes until Mrs. Lawson intervened. Thank you, Mr. Akpan. Can the other members of the panel ask the young man some more questions, please? Turning to the rest of the panel, she said with a mischievous smile. Mr. Rubin quickly readjusted his seat and then proceeded to ask Dolu his question. The interview continued for more minutes as the rest of the panel took turns to ask Dolu their questions. Is there any other question for the young man? Mrs. Lawson asked the panel. I don't think there are any more questions, Mr. Ibrahim replied, faking a smile. In the absence of any other questions, thanks for your time, Dolu. It's a pleasure speaking with you. It was indeed an engaging conversation. Mrs. Lawson rounded off the meeting before shaking hands with Dolu. I'm grateful for interviewing with you today. I look forward to working with the team. He chipped in. Most definitely, you'll be hearing from us soon, Mrs. Lawson replied, smiling. This time around, her smile was more authentic and less quirky. Dolu stood up to take his leave. He heaved a sigh of relief as he stepped out of the room. He was at least grateful he wasn't asked any question that he was clueless about, especially those weird current affairs questions. The end of chapter 1.
We have come to the end of this episode. Thanks for listening to the BIM Hunter Hive podcast. See you in the next episode.
Get a copy of this book by contacting the author via our social media handle BIMHunter_Hive for Instagram, and for Facebook simply search BIMHunter Hive and you'll be able to get in touch with the author. We look forward to hearing from you.